everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I've read so far in March and giving you a bit of an update on my reading. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books, and today I'm going to be talking all about the books that I've been reading in March so far. So we're just past the middle of the month. I have read 6 books, which is great. I have 3 very big books on the go and 1 smaller book. If you've already seen my TBR for March, you'll know that I was planning to participate in 4 different readathons, and 3 are still ongoing and 1 has finished. So I am going to be wrapping up the Birthday Bonanza readathon today. First, let's start with the first book that I read for the month, which was My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. I was still finishing this off at the end of February, so it was started that month, and this is my second Daphne du Maurier book that I've read. The first one was Rebecca last year, which I buddy read with Shelly Swearingen and really enjoyed, and this one I read on my own. And it's all about Philip Ashley, who is raised by his cousin Ambrose, and what happens when his cousin Ambrose goes abroad and meets his cousin Rachel, who he marries. And this one's got a bit of a mysterious plot. I really enjoyed this. There was a lot of tension, mainly from the character of my cousin Rachel. It was very difficult to decide what people's motives were in this book and who to believe, so I really enjoyed that. Very suspenseful, and I'll definitely be reading more Daphne du Maurier. Yeah, this did not disappoint me at all. Really pleased with this read. So that was an excellent one. And once I had finished that, I started on Middle Grade March. So I'll link the hosts of Middle Grade March down below, and I had a couple of books that I wanted to read that have been on my bookshelf since the 90s, and this is one of them, The Woven Path by Robin Jarvis, and this is book 1 in the Tales from the Weird Museum trilogy. It's quite hard to get hold of now. I've been looking for the other 2 in the trilogy, and it's a little bit tricky to get hold of, and you don't really see Robin Jarvis books in the bookshops now, which is a shame because this is a really good middle grade book. I thought this was brilliant. It was so much more exciting than I expected. It has time travel in it, which I love. It has a talking teddy bear in it, which I loved. What I really wasn't expecting was the depth of this book. So the time travel involves travel back in time to wartime in the London Blitz, and that was really well written, I must say. There's a very creepy museum which is very creepily written. As soon as I finished this, I wanted to get my hands on the other 2 books in the trilogy. This follows a little boy called Neil and his brother, and yeah, what happens when they move into the Weird Museum. Really enjoyable book. I would highly recommend this if you can get hold of it, and I will be trying to get hold of the rest of the trilogy for myself. So great book to kick off Middle Grade March. Next, I'm going to wrap up the Birthday Bonanza readathon a little bit. The Birthday Bonanza was hosted by Emily at Novelle Novels, and I'll link her channel in the description down below. This started on, I think it was the 5th of March and went on until the 13th. And I did start something for most of the 5 prompts, but I didn't finish all of them. So first of all, I read for the prompt of Party Time, which was to read a book featuring a celebration. I read Agatha Raisin, There Goes the Bride by MC Beaton, and this is the 20th book in the Agatha Raisin series. As I've said in my other videos, I have got fed up with this series. It is very repetitive. It's also I can't explain it. I am drawn to these books. They are really easy to read. They don't require brain power. So I think the repetitive nature of them, you know where you stand with them, and they are quite cosy and comforting. But I've grown very annoyed with the character of Agatha Raisin. So if you can recommend a better cosy series that are easy to read, and please do let me know in the comments below your recommendations, because The thing I don't like about Agatha Raisin is the character of Agatha Raisin herself. I find her very, very horrible. She's horrible to almost everybody she meets, and we do get a bit of her softer side, but I'm just bored of her now. So unfortunately this didn't have much of a wedding in it, but I am still going to count it for that prompt because it has a wedding cake on the front. It's supposed to be about a wedding. It just isn't really about a wedding. But anyway, I'm really glad to have finished all of the 20 books that I bought in this series and get them off my giant TBR, because I don't think I'll probably buy any more. I mean, if they were free or something, I probably would get them. But yeah, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Agatha Raisin, and this book did not change that one little bit. So that was the first of 5 prompts that I completed. For the favourites prompt, I was going to read The Mousetrap by Agatha Christie, but I haven't had time to get to that yet. But I did read during the readathon time. I did a reread of Killing Floor by Lee Child. I wanted to reread this so that I could make a comparison video between this and the new Reacher series on Amazon Prime. It's a great book, and I will link that video up here if you want to go and check it out. So I really, really enjoyed rereading this, and because it's a reread, I'm also going to count it for the childhood joy prompt, because although I didn't read this in childhood, it was a reread. I did find it enjoyable, comforting, escapism, all the things I would get from a childhood favourite reread. So I'm going to count it for both favourites and childhood joy, which is a bit naughty. I talked about this one quite a bit in the other video, so I won't talk about it too much here, but I still absolutely loved it on the second read. It's a great introduction to the Jack Reacher series, and if you haven't started that series yet and you want a series that is a thriller series with lots of violence and just a great main character, then I would highly recommend this. I did also complete, but I completed it a bit late, the Friends prompt, which was read a book with a friend. I buddy read What I Loved by Siri Hustvedt with Sandy from Ms. Reads a Lot. This is a really interesting book. I think I probably enjoyed it overall a little bit more than Sandy did. It's split into 3 long chapters or parts, I'm not sure which. Of the 3 parts, the first part was very slow going and sort of just introduced the characters, and it follows or is narrated by a guy called Leo, and it's really about his friendship with, well, his marriage with Erica, his friendship with a character who is an artist called Bill, and Bill's wife. Both these couples have sons, and I'm not going to spoiler this book, so I can't really tell you much more than that. But yeah, this is very, very interesting. So the first part, there is a lot about different literature, different artwork. It's really well written. You could really picture the artwork that Siri Hustvedt was describing. When we go into the second part of this book, without any spoilers, there's quite a shocking event in part 2 of the book, and this leads to, I suppose, all of the rest of the happenings in the book. The narrator is not an unreliable narrator, but some of the characters in the book are extremely unreliable. So that was really interesting to read, and all of the stuff about art was also really interesting. It was a book where midway through, Sandy and I were sort of still saying we're not really sure what the book is about, but I think it is essentially just about Leo and his life and his relationships with these other people. I really, really enjoyed what I loved overall. It's very hard to describe without spoilers, but yes, I would say this is a very enjoyable book if you like sort of slow burning stories that take place over a series of years and follow the relationships of a small group of characters. It's a really, really good book, and I can see why this is Siri Hustvedt's most highly rated and most famous book. So yeah, if you like slightly strange books, I would highly recommend this to you. For the other prompts from the Birthday Bonanza Readathon, there's one more prompt, and that was to read a book that's been gifted to you. And I started again with reading Don Quixote, which my brother kindly gifted to me for Christmas many years ago. I have carried on reading this month. I was previously up to chapter 20, I'm now on chapter 25, so I have made progress with Don Quixote this month, but so far only 5 chapters of progress, so I am still a little bit behind on this, but we'll come to the reason for that in a moment. So the 6th book that I have read this month is one of my ones for the Booktube Prize, so I won't talk about it here, and that's The Fortune Men by Nadifa Mohammed. Can't talk about this until the results are out. And currently, at the moment, the reason why I'm not making very good progress with Don Quixote, I'm reading my final Booktube Prize judging book, which is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Dewar. As you can see, this is definitely the chunkiest in the group, and I have read about a third of it. Once I finish this, I will be picking back up on my other books that I'm currently reading that I've started and haven't finished yet. So Don Quixote, I am going to prioritise that once I have finished reading Cloud Cuckoo Land. And the 3rd big book that I've started this month is Those Bones Are Not My Child by Toni, Cade, Bambara, and I'm reading this for the Killer Reads Thriller Month Book Club run by AJ Dunn. I will link their channel down below so that you can check out this great book club. In that book club, we're reading the 60 best thrillers according to Penguin of all time. I'd never heard of this one, and I've read the first 100 pages, but this is over 600 pages, about 670 pages, and I must say that it's quite dense. It is quite intense, but I am quite enjoying it, so we will see how I get on with the rest of that once I finish Cloud Cuckoo Land, because I'm finding it quite difficult to concentrate on 3 big books at once. So I've switched my attention to the Booktube Prize book. Once that's finished, I will be sending in my judging scores for that, and then I will be free to read what I please. So I will be resuming this and Don Quixote, and I will also be looking to read some smaller books. The final thing that I have started this month that I will mention is I've started a read-along which is being hosted by Janelle over at Too Fond of Books. This is for the final readathon that I haven't mentioned yet, March Mystery Madness. This week I've started reading with the group The Breaking Point by Mary Roberts Reinhardt. I'm reading this as an ebook. It's a Project Gutenberg book, and I'm, to be honest, struggling a little bit because I don't know if it's the editing of the book itself or if it's mistakes in the Project Gutenberg copy, but I'm finding it quite difficult because there are some grammatically very difficult to read sentences in it, but it's not at all what I was expecting. So I have heard a lot about Mary Roberts Reinhardt on Booktube, mainly from Kevvie over at Say Kevvie, and I was really excited to read my first one, and I'm thinking I probably shouldn't have started with this one now that I have, because I was expecting a whodunit. This definitely isn't a whodunit. It's more a sort of romantic suspense type of book, which I'm not really enjoying. I have considered DNFing this book, but as soon as I get introduced to any element of mystery in a book, I get huge FOMO about the idea of not finding out the solution to the mystery. So I am going to read on. I think other people are probably enjoying it a bit more than I am, so I don't know if that's because I was really expecting a whodunit and it's not. But yeah, it has got a couple of intriguing characters, so hopefully that will carry me through to the end of that one. I'm also still working on the same audiobook, which is The Blade Itself by Jo Abercrombie. I was recommended this by Jack over at Spread Book Joy when I asked how do I get into fantasy, and she recommended this for me, and I was also recommended the audiobook by both Jack and by Jem at Gem of Books. I'm getting on really well with it, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the trilogy with Jack and gem, so that would be good. Yeah, so I have made a bit of progress on that, and I think I'm down to about the final 10 hours. Just absolutely love the character of Lector and Logan Ninefingers. There is some brilliant character work in this. So I'd heard that this book, being the first in a trilogy, is almost entirely world building, but to me it's actually not even that. Like you're getting the world building through the building of these characters, which I think is really clever, and I'm really enjoying it. So that was all of the books that I've read so far in March, and some that I've started. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and if you have, please do give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Do let me know in the comments down below, what are you reading at the moment? Hopefully you haven't started as many huge books as I have. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.